This is the Unleash Your Life podcast, where you're going to learn what your power leaks are and, more importantly, how to plug them. I'm your host, Lane Smith Brown. I'm a best-selling author and the founder and coach over at lanesmithbrown.com. And over the last 20 years, I've been guiding people back to their truest selves. You see, most of us are caught in our stories, so we stay trapped. I call those stories power leaks. And when we understand how those power leaks are playing out in our life, we can make a choice to step back into our power. If you're interested in learning more, you can pop over to lanesmithbrown.com. But for now, kick back with a cup of coffee, a glass of wine, or a bag of Doritos, and let's talk about getting what's in the way out of the way through the lens of simple, practical, and easy to understand tools and insights that will make a powerful impact on your life starting today. I trust you'll stick around because I'd certainly love the company. Hey, all you beautiful women. Thanks for showing up. I'm Lane Smith Brown, and this is episode number 18 of the Unleash Your Life podcast. And today we're going to talk about how our internal dialogue manifests into our external world. Now, this ties in beautifully to the last couple of shows and is so monumental to the work we're doing here. So let's have some fun dissecting this, okay? Have you ever been part of a conversation, virtual or in real life, where someone poses a question and the solution is so obvious to you that you can't even believe that this is a question for the person who's asking? It happened last week to me, and I thought I'd share it because I have a feeling it will resonate with you. The conversation happened in an online community of women. And one woman described her current partner and situation to the group because she was in a bit of a quandary and needed some advice. She said her partner always put her down, called her horrible names. Oh, it just broke my heart. It was pages and pages of awful, awful stuff. She went on to say that he was jealous of her relationships with her kids. He thinks she's ugly and should lose weight. She's not contributing enough financially to the family, although he's not either. It literally went on for pages, years of belligerence and indifference, unkindness, and emptiness. And her question to the group: should I leave? Was there enough reason for her to take off? I wondered to myself, if someone else had written that and she were the one reading it, what advice would she give to the other woman? It's always so clear from the other side, isn't it? At least it was for me. I found myself wondering what had happened to her before this relationship manifested that made her feel that this was okay to be treated like this. I wondered what she had learned to believe about herself, that she wondered if this behavior was bad enough to justify her leaving with her kids. Now, obviously, I don't know the whole story. Excuse me. I don't know if the description was 100% accurate. I don't know what her partner's side of the story is. I don't know his history. But I do know this. No matter where we are in life, there is a mirror in all of it. That mirror shows us what we believe about ourselves, what we believe we're worth, how we believe we need to be treated or deserve to be treated, what the opportunities are that are available to us because of who we are, and how much happiness we're entitled to. It feeds into all kinds of areas. Every situation we find ourselves in is a microcosm of the internal dialogue of self-worth and self-esteem. And it can eventually turn into an addiction, where the individual subconsciously finds someone or something to reinforce all of those internal feelings. so you can actually form an addiction to all kinds of abuse. Now, did the word addiction catch a bit of a snag with you, or can you see it? As unbelievable as it can sound, we can get chemically addicted to feeling badly. Yep. There are chemicals that actually don't feel good at all, but we still form an addiction to them. Well, truth be told, the addiction is to our need to feel normal. And for some reason, normal is something that many people strive for. Now, I'll explain a bit more in a bit. But first, remember the episode number 6 where we talked about how tiny the odds of you being here are? Remember the odds of the exact right egg and the exact right sperm getting together to make you, you? It was so astronomically low that the fact that you were born is a freaking miracle. So, under those same extraordinary odds, the woman in this story was created. She came into this world with a dream and an intention, a gift to bring the world. And then she received all kinds of conditioning from the influences in her life, her family, her culture, media, religion, etc., which left her wondering in this particular moment if she should stay in this abusive relationship because she loves him and he loves her. Now, I'm not giving anyone advice here. The question for me in all of this is, what does this woman need to learn to remember about herself in order to know the answer to her own question? Now, did you listen to episode number 16 where we were talking about the influence your words have in how you talk to yourself and how that is reflected in you? This woman's partner called her down, called her a horrible derogatory name, said she wasn't contributing, said horrible things about her body, and her priorities sucked. And I wondered how many times she had used these type of lethal blows on herself. Have you ever used unkind words against yourself? How often are we in an abusive relationship with ourselves? And what does it finally take for us to ask the questions? Do I need to leave this version of myself for something better, more loving, kinder, supportive? As we look at our lives and our situation, many of us think to ourselves, if I was just with someone else, it would be better. Or if I just did blank, it would be easier. Or if I was more like blank, this wouldn't be happening to me. The world teaches us if our external environment improved, our internal environment would follow. That's why advertisers know how to tug on all of our insecurities to market us their latest trends or fads. They know most people are working from the inside of a hole that they desperately need to fill. The truth is, you can't get lasting change through external change. Oh, you can get a distraction for a bit, which could even last for a week or so. But if the seeker hasn't fundamentally changed internally, they will go back to the old ways really, really quickly. Remember, your ego needs to keep you feeling familiar because it thinks you think familiar equals safe. And when you start feeling differently, it will help you sabotage yourself to get you back to feeling that unsatisfying state. Now, if all of that was new to you or you've forgotten it, go back to the beginning of the episodes, especially number 5. You know I'm building on some fundamental concepts here from both science and ancient wisdom. So I can't go into all the details with every show, so go back and check some stuff out if you need a little bit more information. So back we go. We come into this world as clean slates, and then a pile of conditioning happens, and we learn to believe something about ourselves that isn't true. Instead, it's just impressions other people left in us. And often those impressions are so far off the truth that we find it hard to believe that we came in as freaking miracles with a gift to share with the world. We are rare and perfect, and our work is to remember that. And that's what we want to get to in this show. So I want you to look around you, look at your life right now, and ask yourself, where do I desire more for myself? What isn't fulfilling to me? Where am I more interested in keeping quiet instead of saying what I want? When and where do I say unkind things to myself? Where am I abusive to myself in my attitude, in my words, in my energy? Here's a tidbit that you might find astonishing, but it will prove helpful here. Where do you say unkind things about others behind their back? One of my mentors has a shaman as their guide. Now, if you don't know about shamanism, it's an ancient wisdom practice and it predates any organized religion. It's tens of thousands of years old and has a long and documented history. I don't know enough about it to say more right now, but the teachings I get from my mentor have proven so stellar and transformative that I'm going to repeat something he attributes to his shaman teacher. People are not who you think they are. People are who you think you are. Let me say that again. People are not who you think they are. People are who you think you are. Excuse me. That's pretty big, no? It takes a couple of go-rounds to really understand what he's saying. People are not who you think they are. People are who you think you are. So when you say unkind things about someone else, you're really saying those unkind things about yourself. Because everyone around you is a mirror. Everyone or every situation is reflecting back to you what you believe about yourself. So you say, oh, so-and-so is so self-centered or selfish or insecure or needy or resentful or ungracious. And all of that is how you feel about yourself. And your higher self is saying, you need to shine a light on that, honey. You need to look at what you believe about yourself in order to remember who you are. You need to get rid of that shit because it's holding you back. What do you need to stop believing about yourself and your situation? And what do you have to start believing about yourself and your situation? What has to change in order for you to remember who you came to be? Okay, so you look at your life and you see that your relationship isn't how you want it to be, or you're not in a relationship and you wish you were, or your financial situation isn't what you desire, or your health or your responsibilities or your work are not what you want. Look at whatever one is most pressing to you right now and ask yourself, who was the person that got themselves into this situation? What did you have to believe about yourself to be in a situation where people use you up, but don't fill you up? What did you have to believe about yourself to be in a situation where your money situation isn't what you require? Is it bad, shallow, or misguided to have this as a priority? So if it is your priority, it makes you bad, shallow, misguided. What did you have to believe about yourself to be in a job that doesn't meet your needs or your dreams? Is work meant to be hard? Is it normal to just get through it so that you can live for your weekends? Is your social standing a reflection of what opportunities are available to you? What did you have to believe about yourself to be in a situation where you're not being heard? Did someone tell you that your ideas are stupid or unwanted? Did someone laugh at something you said and you felt small or insignificant? Those are tough questions, and there are a million more we can ask to get at what's playing in the background. When I first heard these ideas, I balked, but it didn't make it any less true. And if you want to continue blaming people or situations for your current conditions, have at her. But if you want to unearth those old behaviors and characteristics that are diminishing your current experience, then you've got to dig in. It's this plain. If you want your outer world to change, your inner world must change first. So who do you have to be in your own mind in order for your circumstances and opportunities to change? We are so easily convinced we deserve what we have. Oh, we likely rail against it, but in that chatty voice inside of us, we can throw all kinds of shame or guilt or resentment at ourselves. We can believe we're bad or unlucky or undeserving. We're being punished by the universe or God or whatever it is that you believe in. All of that is a story, and it's fiction, bad fiction. Your first step is understanding that you deserve to be happy, loved, fulfilled, engaged, lit up. So what is the work you need to do to convince yourself of that? How do you begin treating yourself in order for that internal dialogue to change? How will you love yourself? How will you speak to yourself? How will you make yourself happy or fulfilled or engaged? Look, if these types of questions are new to you or are confounding, you're not alone. But if the life you dream of is compelling enough, then you've got to learn to work the muscle that changes your internal environment. If you've got a voice in your head that is now saying, that's impossible, that's too hard, that's silly or self-indulgent, that's not the way things work. Things can't change for me in that way. I have too many people counting on me, and if I changed or went in a new direction, they'd fall apart. I'll do this when my kids are grown or my parents are dead or when I'm 40 or 50 or 60 or blah, 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 blah. Yep, that's your ego trying to keep you in the familiar feelings you've grown accustomed to. Remember, to the ego, familiar equals safe. This is what I call drifting through your life. Drift, drift, drift. Yeah. Just let the current take you wherever it wants to take you. Don't take any responsibility. So the first thing you need to know is that it's work. The second thing you need to know is that that work is worth it. You're worth it. Look at where you're feeling grudges or resentment right now. You're using that to keep you in a familiar feeling. Look at where you're feeling shame or grief or loss right now. You're using that to keep you in a familiar feeling. Look at where you're feeling disappointment or anger or doubt right now. You're using that to keep you in a familiar feeling. Look at where you're living in the past, rewriting it in your head so you could be happier right now if something had been different. If only so-and-so hadn't said that thing or left or died or moved on. You're using that to keep you in a familiar feeling. Look at where you look back at your life and declare, that wasn't fair. You're using that to keep you in a familiar feeling. I know that we can easily become convinced that the past exists, but it doesn't. It's gone. It's completely gone. There is nothing you can do or say or be that can change it. So what is the value to you holding on to it? And what is the cost to you of holding on to it? What could be the value in you letting go? What could be the value to you in moving forward? Would a new familiar be too scary? Would a new familiar make you too accountable? Would a new familiar seem disrespectful in some way to whatever you're holding on to? Would a new familiar force you to expect more of yourself and the life you're creating? Would a new familiar mean you'd have to change what you believe about yourself and recognize that you came in against all the odds to give the world something beautiful just by being you? Look, the past doesn't exist any longer and the future doesn't exist yet. But, and this is a big but, you can create your future and you can redeem your past. But you've got to change something to do that. And most likely, it's the internal dialogue you've got going on. All those nasty power leaks that are draining your energy and convincing you you're not enough. You're all alone. You deserve what you got. Dreaming just leads to disappointment. Blah, blah, blah. All stories, all fiction, all bad fiction. So here's another question for you. Do you want to teach people how to hurt or how to heal? There's more good feelings and opportunities in showing a way to heal by redeeming whatever was holding you to the past. Love yourself enough to do this work. Do you want to teach people how to hurt or how to heal? There's an endless amount of resources out there to do this work. If you want support in going down this line, check out weirdhummingbirds.com. We've revamped the site. There's all kinds of free and powerful resources there. If I've struck a chord with you in this show and you already know that you want to do this work, then know I have discounted my Finding Your Power Leaks course tremendously to make this accessible to as many people as I possibly can. It is foundational to the work that we're doing here, and it will help you see what's holding you back, and it will give you an actual game plan for how to change your inside environment so you can create your outside environment that's more to your liking. You know, the end goal for me is that there are thousands upon thousands of women doing this work to get to the truth of who they are and what they've come to offer. I know what we will be able to accomplish together, and the world will be better for it. And on that note, I'm going to ask you a question for just a couple of minutes that I asked you just a couple of minutes ago. I want you to keep it in your heart and keep answering it for yourself. Do you want to teach people how to hurt or how to heal? It's a sobering question when you're in the midst of your pain, but it is the healing that offers the transformation for yourself and for others. All right, another big show. And that's it for now. Meet me back here on the next episode, and if this is getting your juices going, go back and listen to other episodes. Apparently, we take in less than 10% of what we're listening to at any one time because our minds go off on all kinds of tangents. So listen again and again. See if something else resonates for you. All right. Until next time, take a deep breath. Know that you are spectacular and you are more than enough. And you are declaring that you are worth doing the work. Have a wonderful week. See you next round. Well, I hope this show rocked your world a little bit. If you're ready to take this learning to a whole new level, pop over to lanesmithbrown.com and sign up for our weekly Wild Wonderings email and check out the coaching options as well. Oh, and if you haven't already, subscribe to this podcast, will you? It's how we get these tools into the world and change the world for the better. Ta for now.